Hello everyone and welcome to Dungeon Master for Hire. My name is Professor Pui and I will be your Dungeon Master for this video. In today's video, we'll be talking about the expansion that has been done to TALESPIRE with the Summoning of the Habor Beast expansion set. It is new, it came out about a day ago. I didn't have time to record yesterday because I had too much stuff to do, but it's here and I wanted to talk about it because this is a fairly big one. We have a lot of art content that has been added to the TALESPIRE, including some play changes in order to change the map and do some other things, but let's go into details first. First, let's talk about the art assets that have been added. And for that, I'll switch over to the screen, like so. Here we can see TALESPIRE, and all these items you see here in the correlation are the ones that have been added to the game recently. There's a lot of cover, but the major one is they've added docks. They've added docking materials for docks and harbors, and the best part about it, we also have a new tab for the harbor where we have all of the components, and the props have also been added, and so we have almost a bundle of 20 plus props to play with as dungeon masters here. So let's go into detail on some of them. Let's zoom in for the dock. We have a lot of fishing props, a lot of fish, a lot of docking materials. We have this net, which could be used as almost as difficult terrain if there's combat to be done here, or we could just have it as a terrain feature. We have these corals, which we can use to put like the sea beach or the side of the beach, and we have this clam which doubles as a chest that can be opened. Great. Aside from that, we have ladders. Finally, something that has been missing for a while. We have ladders that can be hanging from certain stations. This one being a hanging ladder that can be extended downwards. And these ones that are stationary, the character can actually jump from this ladder to the top. This one as well. And the likes. This one's a broken one, so if the ladder breaks, you would have to like use the top and like cut it off. It's great for visual storytelling and all that. It's great. So, those are ladders. After that, let's look at these weapons, per se. We have a mounted crossbow, which is what it sounds like. Great for setting up weapons on walls and stuff like that, being the first mount weapon we have, so we're expecting more in the future as they keep expanding and adding more things. There's a pressure plate that can't be interacted with, but it insinuates that if a character steps on it, a trigger will occur. And we have the bear trap, which is interactable by right-clicking and springing the trap, which is great. So you can set some bear traps down, put them under ferns or stuff like that, and trigger them. I haven't really tested if you can, but if you could, it'd be great. Also, if your players are hunting some beasts, they can lay down a bear trap, and you have a visual cue of the bear trap being armed and everything. And we also have these two spike traps. A jungle one and a metal one, which, let's be honest, does more damage. They're not springable. Well, the jungle one can't be springable, but they're there nonetheless. You can hide or destroy the tiles above, make the characters fall, and if they don't survive, they meet a grindy death by metal or splinters. Yeah. These three are interesting. These three come from, instead of the harbor, they come from the cobblestone. There's stone fences, 1, 2, and 1 fence in corner, which is great, which we could really use more fences. We have so many visual styles we could use. And the altar is one of the first props you see once you enter the Props tab. Props, there we go. Alter Evil, the first one you see. It's a big old table that you can put a body, or you can put one of the new bones that have been added to the game. Because we only had previously one bone tile. If we look for bone. Bone, please, thank you. We only had this bone pile, which is great. But now we have all these options for bone piles. Plus the evil altar is a great addition. You can put papers, you can put other items there, and it's great. It's a great addition. I love it. And also we can insinuate dead bodies and leave them around the dungeon if there has been an adventurer that has been deceased, and you just leave one of these instead of these corpses, and it insinuates a much more visual difference in key. They're great. Love them. So that's most of the assets that have been added. Two of them being interactable, docks, and their related props, nets, and everything. They're great for level design and allow us to have actual harbor assets instead of using our taverns and columns and try to make our docks ourselves, which is what we've all done mostly on TALESPIRE, where we just look for for more tavern options. Now now let's talk about the creatures that have been added. The 4 creatures that have been added are, well, the Boar, which was previously presented by TALESPIRE, teased by TALESPIRE. The Boar, which is a great addition for one of the feral animals that roam around in D&D and worlds alike. And we have another undead, the Ghoul, one of the creatures that roam the necrotic worlds of D&D. These are nasty looking creatures, and they're a great addition for monsters you can throw at players. And last but not least, we have the giant sea creature and its pairing tentacles. They're great, you know, it's huge. Once you import them, they come like that. That's the size they drop it. They're huge. I believe the giant creature is gargantuan, and the tentacles are large, and you can just move them apart because you can. And the creatures are great, you know? You just have a lot more pieces to play with. And so those are the 4 creatures that have been added to your playable sets. And let's talk about the other gaming features that have been added. Here, they've added the ability to switch the board's surface. This board's surface can be changed from here. From campaign and board settings, you have now a board surface color, which the default is the gray, and now we have the blue, which we can use for ocean settings, and the green, which could be used for greeners if you don't want to paint the whole tile and use all that. It saves on memory and load time, so it's a good thing to have. And so we have those 2. We would love to have a little more options, or the option to actually add a custom color would be great as well, TALESPIRE. But these 2, I love them because I'm right now running a pirate campaign for some reason. It didn't start like that, but it's turned into that, so now we have a lot of waterbound adventures. Aside from that, they added the ability to go into, let's say, initiative, and let's add some creatures. This is a minor one, but we are able to select the portrait on the creature and it'll focus on it, almost like you did when you were in player mode and you were able to select your character and focus. Now you can do that by selecting them here on the picture, which is nice and was needed, so thank you. And the other thing is, they've added an UI for the player to end their own turn, which helps a lot when the player is finished and he's like, well, I got no more action, so I'm just gonna end my turn, and it moves on to the next player if you have your whole player base uses TALESPIRE. If not, the DM to take control of that. Oh, yes, and they also added the ability to allow the players to clear their own dice when it's not their turn. Previously, the players had to wait on their turn to do anything, because once it's initiative, players lose complete control of their character. So now they can clear the dice so they don't like populate the world with dices. And they also added the ability for DMs to summon players to a specific board instead of telling them, oh, go to Unknown Realm number 2, I could just call them over. Don't know where that button is because I would need to load a second screen, so give me 1 second. Okay, so I've loaded the second screen to see if I'm able to call the players to the board, which is a function they added, which is the added the summon players to board option for the DM. So I'm gonna set the character here, the other player as a DM. This guy will be a player, you guys won't be seeing this, but I'm going to move this player, let's say, to the other board. And let's see if we can find the option. There's the button. On campaign settings, and campaign board and settings, there is a button that's called Summon Players to this board. Great. So I just put the second instance here. So I just press this button, and he's being summoned, which is great. He's being summoned to the board, as you can see, and so we have that button. Great. So that's everything from the beta update. These are the changes they've presented. These are the changes that are available to download, and the update is a 692.6 megabyte update, which is not as heavy as most updates in most games are. Sorry, it's not as big as other updates in most games right now. It is a beta, and they've added ton of more functionality for us DMs and players to have with. Being able to call all the players to the next board is a good thing because they don't have to wait for me to be on the board for them to move, which is a thing that happens more often than not, where the players have to wait for the DM to collect them so they can move from the board, where I can just call them and they're able to join the board I'm at, which is great. We needed that. And so now that's all the updates from the beta, and so that is everything. I believe the last update they showed, well, in their article, we kind of talk about devlogs. The latest devlog, they talked about the rulers or measures extensions, where they talked about how to they showcase in the gifts on how to how to measure distance, or cones, and or spheres, because some spells are spheres, and they have a visual graph of what the effect should look like. It's not final and it's not added to the game yet, but it is in development, and for what I can see, it's soon to be added to the game, which is a must, because sometimes those spells are so powerful, so big, and that sometimes you need to know if a character is in range or not. And these rulers will help everyone in play. And so I think that's all for today. I hope you found this informative, interesting. If you like what you see here and would like for me to keep updating you on the latest updates for TALESPIRE, please hit a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get informed on my next video. So that's all for today. Class is dismissed.